everyone. My name is Pam Nakpil, and this is The Moving Truth with Pam. So, for the past interviews we've had, I've always been talking to the people who decided to come here. Now, we'll talk to someone who I'm not sure had a choice to be here. He is his mother. I'll make him tell you all about it, but he was a child when he was not very young, but he was a child when he was brought here. His parents sponsored him to be here. But let him introduce himself first. Christian?
Hi, my name is Christian Pangilinan. I am born and raised from Las Piñas City in the Philippines, and currently am employed with Keller Williams Capital Realty as a licensed salesperson or realtor here in New Brunswick.
Wow, okay, wow, realtor. Being a realtor, I know that's another topic we can talk
Yes.
about for 3 hours straight.
Oh, it will take a longer than that.
But before that, Christian, okay, when did you arrive in Canada and why? Why Canada? What brought you here? Tell us about that.
So I'll start it off why first. So during 2009, 2008, during the crisis of
Okay.
economy, it's shaken the whole world, and the family business wasn't doing well.
So you had a business when you were home.
Well, my families were like
Okay.
it was a shared business with relatives. It was a dental clinic out in
Okay.
in
Las Piñas.
no Quezon City.
Oh, wow, that's a
Yeah.
little far.
Yeah,
huh?
that's where my
Okay.
relatives are. So my mom did try to survive with the business, but it wasn't enough to sustain. Therefore, she started to look for other means, and she thought of having an opportunity to go to Canada.
Okay.
It wasn't her first time going abroad because she did went to Japan prior to it.
Okay.
So she's not afraid of going
Wow,
out.
your mom's brave. Not
Oh, yes.
many parents will want to go, right?
Yes, especially once established in the Philippines, right, with
Yeah.
a business, and then it didn't go well, and then she needs to resort to Plan B.
Plan B. At least she's thinking of Plan B. Not
Yes.
many people also think of Plan B.
Yeah.
So she was in Japan before. She worked in Japan. So now she decided to go elsewhere to work because of the family business not working out so well. So why Canada? Was it her first choice?
So
What brought her here?
coincidentally, my mom's best friend
Okay.
was dating an entrepreneur out in Labrador,
Labrador.
and then she pitched out to her boyfriend at that time that to hire my mom.
Oh, wow.
Directly. So
okay.
We were fortunate that my mom got directly hired by the employer, but she went through, again, going back to schooling,
Oh, she did.
yes, to get a certificate that Canada will accept as a housekeeping for a film.
Oh.
So-
So she went to work in housekeeping in
Yes.
Labrador.
Yes.
Was it a hotel?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your mom doing back home outside of the business? Was she personally involved in the business? Was she?
She was personally involved with the business and also some sidelines like reselling branded bags or
Okay, that's
or
nice.
a jewelry.
She's very entrepreneurial.
Yes, she is.
Okay. So it must have been not easy for her to think of, hey, we have a business here, then suddenly I'm doing housekeeping
Yes.
in Labrador.
It was a night and day difference that she sacrificed because when she first arrived in Canada in 2011, it took her at least 5 years just to get the PR.
Wow. 5 years.
5 years.
It's a long process
Yes.
then.
It is. It was different, and to the point that it wasn't still easy because when we first arrived, I still remember like yesterday, it was February 14th, Valentine's Day,
Valentine's Day.
2016, when I first arrived in Toronto,
Okay.
where my mom picked us up
Oh, wow.
from the airport,
Okay.
and then directly flew from there to Labrador.
Wow.
And it was during the winter. It was negative 50 when we first arrived
50.
in
Okay.
Labrador.
Okay. Mental note, not to go to Labrador during winter.
Well, we do have 8 months of winter, so
Okay. I have to choose those 4 other ones. Okay.
Yes.
So she did not see you for like 5 years?
yes. She left us when I was in first year college, and then my sister at that time was only grade 2.
Wow. Must
So-
have been, how was it for you? Like, suddenly you have a sister you're taking care of.
It was
and-
very hard because my dad at that time wasn't working
Okay.
nor contributing to the family, and he basically
It was
sort
just your mom.
yes, it was my mom doing all the work,
Wow.
and also my grandma who's also supporting us financially, but it wasn't enough because as we all know
Yeah.
here in Canada, we need not just sending money to our families in the Philippines, but we also need to sustain
Survive
ourselves here.
yeah.
Right.
So it must have been a challenge for your mom doing, like, she's basically working two households, right?
Yes.
Wow. So when she got you finally in 2016, you
Yes.
said, how did you want to go? Did you want to go? Did your sister want to go?
My sister wanted to go because she wants to
Be with
be
your mom.
my mom, right? But in my case, my plan at that time was I was an engineering student. I was on my fourth year
Fourth year.
in National University in Sampaloc, Maynila. And what happened was, supposedly I was going back. I just enter Canada, get my PR, and
And
come
go back.
to
Okay,
finish my
okay.
studies. And then one day I met someone in Ontario who was an electrician who was a Filipino.
Yeah.
And we didn't know him. We were just like walking around and then
And you met him and got to talk.
got to talk, and he was a cum laude from TIP, which is a well-known
Wow.
technological institute of the Philippines, and he was a board passer. And I told him, hey, is it worth it
Worth
for me
it.
to finish my degree in the Philippines? And he gave me an advice wherein his cum laude status
Wasn't recognized.
wasn't recognized. He needs to study again to become an
An
electrician.
engineer.
No,
Or-
he's
just an electrician.
He wasn't able to become
Okay.
electrical engineer.
So what was he doing?
So he was an electrician for a company
Okay.
in Ontario. So
Wow.
I just took the grain of salt from there rather than spending more time and resources for something that I won't be able to use here in Canada. I just
Decided
you know,
not to go back home.
Not to go back, even though I already have the returning ticket.
Wow. So scrap the ticket,
Yeah.
stay here. So Labrador, what did you feel like? I mean, Toronto's different during February, right? But Labrador, arriving winter, right smack, -50. How did you feel about being there?
Well, it was the first experience of being in Canada. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I was in a frozen wasteland, and I was wearing a sweatpants.
Really?
Well, we didn't in the Philippines. We don't have the context of having
Yeah.
winter wear, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't prepared for that, and it was freezing. And to top it up, and my mom's place that
Okay.
she's renting, the pipe broke.
Oh,
So the
wow.
whole place is frozen.
My gosh.
So we were in a hotel accommodation by her employer for 3 months until that got
well,
resolved.
that's a nice thing.
But we didn't have any choice. The whole home is
Yeah,
frozen.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice change, though.
Oh, it was.
Being in a hotel.
It was a challenge.
But that must have been a shocker for you. I mean,
It is.
right now, what I hear from family back home in the Philippines, it's like going 50 degrees
Oh.
degrees Celsius.
Yep, my
Not
mom
negative.
My mom just called me today because she just went home in the
Oh,
Philippines.
she went home.
And
Okay.
she was already complaining.
It is so hot. I cannot take that anymore.
Well, it's been 7 years since I went back
Oh
home.
wow!
So,
So since you left,
no, after I arrived in Canada,
Okay.
I left.
Again.
Went for vacation to the Philippines a year after.
okay.
But since then,
So
no.
your fourth year engineering student, Canada decided to take the advice of a stranger who said, you know, you can't. So what did you do?
Oh.
What was your plan now?
Oh, I was up in the air, right? Like I wasn't sure what I'm gonna do because I cannot get any technical job due to the
Okay.
fact that I don't have any experience. I have the knowledge of it, but again,
No
experience. So at that time, I never knew this before, but when I first started working, I learned the fact that my mom was into debt
Wow.
because she spent all her money just to bring us to Canada. The ticket wasn't expensive, and she resorted to borrowing money from 5-6. So if
It's you get
it's
a
a
lot of
private
interest.
lender,
Yeah, wow. So
so
I mean, I think some people don't, just stopping you a bit there to say that I don't think some people realize the sacrifices people
oh
have to do to get themselves here and family here. That some people actually go into debt
oh
just to be able to
as you know, in our culture, our parents will do everything for
everything.
the children, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what the
What
age
the
of their
cost
children as well.
and the
Yes.
cost. We will do everything.
Yes.
So, okay, she was in debt. So, what did you do? You
So
can't work yet.
I just grabbed my get my driver's license and then managed to find a work. So I first started as a dishwasher for a restaurant.
Wow.
So that's since I don't have any prior working experience, so I need to start it from
Anything.
from anything, right? So
Okay.
I started as a dishwasher, and I was a dishwasher for a year,
Wow.
right? That's the only job that I can get. At
But
that
dishwasher here, you have a dishwasher. But this was really manual dishwashing.
time. Both, like
Okay.
it's both because there's only a few restaurants in Labrador,
Oh, okay.
so the amount of people coming in is tremendous.
Oh, wow.
It's a
Just
small
because
town.
there's a few.
Yes.
Okay. So, how did you feel washing dishes for a year, knowing that you could have stayed in the Philippines, have a degree, be an engineer? Did you not, like, say-
It sucked, right? Like, I mean, I was almost there, but I also look on the brighter side that do I have a future in the Philippines per
Okay.
se? Because as we all know, the reason why we are here in Canada or in any other countries
Country.
is that to have better opportunity. And I think in a way that I don't see any opportunity for myself in the Philippines.
Like looking into the future, you
Yeah.
saw,
I don't see it.
I mean, even with the circumstances that you were washing dishes, you still saw a better opportunity here.
Yes, because
Okay.
it was a bitter experience moment at that time because like I know technical knowledge, but here I am scrubbing plates.
Yeah.
But it didn't deter me from where I wanted to be. But I was still figuring out
Okay.
of what I wanted to do. So for the teenagers out there, if you don't know what you're doing, that's fine. Take your time, and you'll figure
Okay.
it out.
He was a teenager then. So, okay, while washing dishes, what did you decide you wanted to do?
At first, I wanted to sign up for RCMP or
Oh,
the
wow.
Army because I used to be a reserve in
Oh.
the Philippines as well. But at that time, I was PR. I wasn't eligible to get a citizen, so I wasn't able to apply
Apply
for
for
police
those, yeah.
nor as Army. So I just waited and waited. I was like just gaining experience as I waited, but COVID hit and I wasn't able to apply.
Okay, so but what did your work progress go?
Oh.
Like a year, were you still doing the dishes or did you
So,
move elsewhere?
1 year I was doing dishes, and then after that I was like, you know what, this isn't going nowhere for me
Okay.
if I'm just gonna be staying in this spot.
Here. Okay.
So I had an opportunity to be hired for Tim Hortons.
Okay.
So
service industry.
service industry, and then I climbed up from there. That's where I first interacted with Canadians because I wasn't proud of my English at that time, and now I managed to improve upon over time. But so there I was working at least 12-hour shift. Because
Wow.
At least up to 15-hour shift.
Wow.
It's the only Tim Hortons in town that has 12,000 population. Everyone
So-
is gonna go there.
Okay. There's no one every street corner?
No,
Okay.
no,
Oh,
there's
wow.
only one.
Must be the biggest selling Tim's ever.
Yep,
Must
it
be.
is. The sales is tremendous.
So you worked at Tim's then?
Yes.
Then okay. So what were you while trying to figure out what you wanted to do? Labrador, when did you decide I wanted to leave Labrador and go elsewhere?
Oh, so that's the time that I met my current fiance now. We're engaged for 2 years now. Hopefully, we're getting married this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So she moved to Labrador from St. John, New Brunswick for work.
Okay.
That's
That's
where-
where you met?
Yes,
Wow,
that's
so
where
nice.
we met. And then we dated for a year. And then she decided to come back to New Brunswick.
Okay.
And then at that time we were talking, and I was like, you know what? I already gave my 5 years of my life because I stayed in Labrador for 5 years.
Wow.
I think it's about time to explore more.
Were you, before we go into New Brunswick, were you able to help your mom get out of debt?
Yes, I gave all of my income
Wow.
in that 1 year as a dishwasher,
Oh my goodness.
just to be debt free.
Wow. Wow. And as children, I think as, from based on our culture, we really do appreciate what our parents do and give back
Yes,
as much as we
because
can.
we are family oriented.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so now New Brunswick, why did you go to St. John or straight to Moncton?
So before we decided like the actual move to
Mm-hmm.
New Brunswick, we decided to have a short trip. Like we drove around New
Mm-hmm.
Brunswick. Like we visited Fredericton, St. John, Moncton, Miramichi, Batters,
Okay.
Campbellton.
So you went everywhere.
Yes. And then ultimately we decided to move to Fredericton
Oh,
because
Fredericton
it felt
first.
like a small town, feel like Labrador, which we loved.
Okay.
We don't want to be in a big city feel because I am from Las Piñas. I go to Sampaloc, Manila every single day.
As the traffic is, if
That's
you
enough
only
for
knew the
me.
traffic there. So Fredericton, what did you do in Fredericton?
Oh, I was depressed at that time when I moved to Fredericton because I wasn't able to find any job. It was
Wow.
the peak of the pandemic.
2019, 2020.
2021.
Wow. Wow.
Like it was 2021 of January.
So you couldn't find anything.
I can't. So
So what happened? I mean, we all have to eat. We have to find a
yes.
place to
so
live at.
my fiance Roxanne managed to find a part-time job.
Oh, wow.
for-
Even she had a hard
Oh
time.
yes.
So, the decision to move was not
not
at the best
concrete.
time.
Right. Yes. And we didn't do our due diligence as well to research or what.
Well, who knew what the pandemic would really cause? I mean, I don't think anybody understood or realized
Yes.
how bad it could have been.
it was.
And it was, right?
Right.
So, Fredericton couldn't find a job. When did you decide, okay, I moved to Moncton?
So it was a long journey before I moved to Moncton because I started as a beer packaging
Oh,
in one of the breweries
in Fredericton. Oh, so
And
you finally landed a job.
it was a minimum wage
Wow.
job and it was manual labor. Like
But
at
you
that
do what you
time,
had to do.
$13 an hour at that time. So I only get like 32 hours a week.
Yeah.
So it was a hard job to begin with, and it wasn't even aligned to what my expertise was. Like I didn't care about beers really.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a drinker. But from there, I had an opportunity to get hired for a car dealership.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So my brand were Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, and Dodge.
So you went into sales.
Yes.
Okay. And then, how did that do for you? I mean, how?
It was great. It was great when it lasted. I only left because due to the management, how toxic the management were.
What?
But again, it was a sales industry. It's all about numbers.
Sales is, yeah.
But I was earning bread and butter. Like I was
Good
doing
money.
great. I was selling at least 10 to 15 units a month.
Wow.
But ultimately, I left because of how the management works. And this is where I came across with the Filipino realtor out in Fredericton and told me like, hey Christian, you know how to do sales. Why not become a realtor?
Okay.
And then that gave me like a ring in the bell in my mind, like, hey, why not? Like there's
Okay.
only a limited amount of Filipino realtors in New Brunswick. From what I know, up to this day, there's only 5 of us.
In the whole of New
in the
Brunswick?
whole New Brunswick.
Wow.
2 in Fredericton, 1 in St. John, and 2
Two
here
in
in
Moncton. But how do you see that? I mean, of course, the Filipino population is not that huge anyway to
Yes.
do sales. And for you to be a realtor, they say sales is 1 out of 10, you get a sale, right?
Yes.
So, how is, I'm sure you had to study, I'm sure you had to
Yes.
get license, everything. How is it now working for you as a realtor? Do you just cater to the Philippine market or do you?
If I were to get an opportunity to cater other communities, I will do so.
But right now, it's your focus is Filipino.
Not really on focus because I don't want to be the realtor who's just focusing on one community, right? Like I wanted to cater to everyone. But as of now, percentage for my clientele is like 80% Filipinos. Right?
Okay, okay. But you can sell everywhere and anywhere in
Yes.
New Brunswick.
I did sold a duplex out in St. Stephen,
Okay.
a home in Miramichi. I have a listing coming up this month in Bathurst.
Wow. So it's you can hit anywhere, which is good.
Within reason. I don't want to reach myself to Plaster Rock or Campbellton. That's too far
Too
for
far,
me.
yeah. But at least the community is growing as well. And
It is.
by word of mouth, if you do well, you will always get
It
people
is.
to refer to you. Okay. So having experienced what you experienced, do you think it's worth it to have gone through it, to be here, for your mom to uproot you from what you know, what you were doing, and be in Canada? Like, is it something you would still think, hey, it was okay?
I would say if I were to given an opportunity to redo again, I think I will still go to Canada or any other First Nation, first world country, like US or Australia, but much more of an explore much more of an education side, right? Like I didn't
Okay.
finish my degree.
Okay.
If I were to give in an opportunity way back, if I was like, you know what, I should have continued my engineering
should
here
have-
in Canada.
Okay, okay.
But I didn't get the opportunity to have the funds to go
Yeah,
back to
financial.
university, and I don't want to go into debt again because we just got out of debt.
Yeah.
So, like, education wasn't my main focus at that time.
Focus.
It's
It
just
was more of earning, just earning.
surviving.
Surviving, you're right. It's a term that most people really are doing when they come to another place. I mean, not everyone goes here and works at,
Yes.
immediately a high-paying job and everything. Everything you have to start from scratch.
Yes,
really.
and it's a good experience, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's-
Humbling.
It puts us into a spot wherein to know where you came from.
It's
right?
true,
It's
true.
not about what you studied, what you finished, what you have way back in the Philippines. Once you step foot into another country, you start all over again.
Yeah, and it's a humbling experience. But I think most people don't understand that you have to go through that to be able to reach something. And I always believe that, good people,
Yeah.
wherever you plant them, they will always grow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what you're accustomed, right? Like, for unfortunately, some of us are born with a silver spoon on their mouth, right? So in majority of the people who comes to
Okay.
or immigrate to other countries is that we didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
Or
Which is
luxury.
good. At least we're trained to know how it is to start.
Yes.
What advice would you give people moving here to Canada?
I would say do your research first. Like I've heard a lot of Filipinos, or not just Filipinos, but a lot of immigrants in per se, that they were given. I don't want to use the word misinformation, but much more get your research done, get yourself educated before you make your
Go here.
big move, because
Yeah.
you'll be spending a lot of money just to come here, and you'll be spending more money once you're here.
Yeah.
So do
It's
your
not-
due diligence.
Yeah, that's what I hear always. People come here, they think they can immediately work, they think they can immediately, get good salaries. It's a waiting game in a
Yes.
way. You have to be patient, right?
And again, we live in a world like it's very competitive now
True,
in Canada due to immigration. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of migration towards here in New Brunswick now that you cannot get any jobs in Ontario, Vancouver, and
Yeah.
Alberta.
So people are flocking here. So
Yes.
competition is big. You're right. Research is very important. I think it's key to anything you do. You just have to do the right thing, find the right information from the right people, I
Yeah.
guess. Christian, thank you for being with
Thank you
me
for
here
coming.
today.
Thank you very much for as well.
And really hats off to your mom and you for helping her. It's
Yeah.
migrating is never easy. Migrating is never easy. It's a lot of heartache as well, right?
I think everyone can share the experience as well, or relate to this conversation, and to give passion or inspiration to others as
Yeah,
well.
I'm sure, and that's why we tell the stories. So with that, everyone, thank you for being here today, and we'll see you at the next The Moving Truth with Pam. Bye now.
Bye.